There are certain games stay with players, including myself, long after the game console they played it on disappears. Years pass, graphics improve, entire genres evolve, and yet one memory or one music just refuses to die. Sometimes it's a particular level, sometimes it's a piece of music, sometimes it's simply the feeling of holding a controller while moving through a game that somehow understood exactly how action should really feel. Those are the games that become more than childhood memories. They become standards that every new game is quietly measured against. For many Sega Genesis fans, Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master, personally one of my own all-time favorites, is one of those games. This game was originally released in 1993 by Sega. It represented the series at its absolute peak during the 16-bit era. Players once again stepped in a role of Joe Musashi, the legendary ninja tasked with stopping the criminal organization Neo Z before it plunged the world into chaos. On paper, in fact, the story was simple, but experience in it was extraordinary. Every level introduced new ideas, every environment felt completely different, there was so much new mechanics compared to the previous stage, and Joe's expanded moveset transformed the game into something remarkably fluid. It was wall jumps, running, run-and attacks, sliding beneath obstacles, aerial kicks, ninja magic, and these beautifully responsive controls combined into one of the finest action platformers ever released on the Sega Genesis. And more than 30 years later now, many still consider it as one of Sega's greatest games of all time. That reputation, I would say, is exactly why many people, including myself, continue imagining what a true modern remake could become. See, still imagining that possibility is difficult to resist. Shinobi 3 already feels like a game that was decades ahead of its hardware it originally released on. So now imagine the remake not with explosion or a cinematic battle and stuff, but with these complete stillnesses. Dawn has already broken a collision of futuristic sci-fi and a ninja. See, without saying a single word, this character found its way into our hearts like none other. Joe Musashi never fought because he enjoyed violence. He fought because someone finally has to. See, that quiet determination gives this particular character a timeless quality. He doesn't need lengthy speeches or dramatic monologues to explain who he is. His actions reveal everything players need to know. A remake could embrace that philosophy like none other, from beginning to end. One of the greatest strengths of Shinobi 3 was its incredible pacing. Every stage introduced something completely different, while newer feelings disconnected from the adventure. One moment players sprinted across beaches beneath the burning sunset, the next they explored military bases, ride horsebacks through enemy territory, climb waterfalls, surface across the ocean, or even battle these giant mechanical monsters. This game constantly surprised players without ever losing its identity one bit. Modern technology could preserve that variety while expanding every location into something truly unforgettable. Like imagine ancient Japanese forests where sunlight barely reaches the ground because towering trees block the sky. Every location should feel handcrafted, not because it's enormous, because every corner of this game has its own purpose. The movement system deserves just as much attention as well, although this game was already back then almost perfect. Even today, Shinobi 3 remains famous for how responsive the character was. Every jump landed exactly where players expected, every attack flew naturally into the next movement, nothing felt delayed or awkward. That precision allowed difficult platforming and combat to remain satisfying on that console instead of frustrating. So with that being said, a remake should treat that responsiveness as its highest priority probably. Like imagine sprinting across rooftops, seamlessly transitioning into a wall run and line of sight of an ancient castle. That wall run becoming a natural leap, and without breaking momentum, he launching upwards into aerial strike before disappearing behind the cover in smoke. Every action connecting naturally, players stop thinking about controls, they simply move. That effortless flow has always been Shinobi's greatest strength. See, combat should evolve without losing its elegant simplicity. Joe Musashi has never been a warrior who overwhelms enemies through brute force. He succeeds because every movement is efficient. Every strike carries its intention, every shuriken thrown serves a purpose, every dodge conserves energy. Modern animation could emphasize that philosophy beautifully. Visually, the remake should also embrace beauty instead of chasing realism, of course. Japanese landscapes inspired artists for centuries because they balanced elegance with tranquility. Like, imagine golden sunsets now reflecting across these peaceful rivers before battles suddenly erupt. Snow-covered mountain temples stand silently all beneath a dark sky. And ancient castles rising above these dense forests as thunder rolling in distant valleys. Nature constantly reminding players what Joe is actually fighting to protect. That emotional connection makes every mission more meaningful. Music could become one of the remake's defining achievements this time. The original soundtrack remained legendary among Genesis fans because it perfectly blended traditional Japanese influences with these energetic themes. Modern orchestral music could preserve those unforgettable melodies while expanding them through taiko drums, strings, all Japanese instruments that I don't know to just respect the series without overwhelming it. And silence should also remain equally important. Sometimes players should hear nothing except footsteps. Bamboo, rain, striking rooftops, those quieter moments in fact create tension naturally. Boss encounters deserve extraordinary attention this time. The Genesis original featured some wonderfully imaginative enemies, but today's technology could transform every confrontation into a memorable set piece without sacrificing any of the gameplay. Shinobi 3 Remake remains only an idea right now. Sega has announced exciting plans for the franchise through Shinobi Art of Vengeance, but the beloved Genesis adventure continues living exactly as players remember it. Still, some games have a way of quietly waiting for the right moment. Not demanding attention, not chasing trends, simply existing as reminders of what thoughtful game design can accomplish. Shinobi 3 has always belonged in that category. It proved that action doesn't need constant explosions to feel exciting, that movement can become an art form of itself. That simplicity often creates experiences more memorable than endless complexity. Because true classics never ask to be remembered, they just simply never give anyone a reason to forget them.